Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool arcade game repair video for you this evening. If you didn't see our first video, go back and watch it. But we have been working on this Asteroids cocktail table arcade game. And we have been, we did a whole first video where we worked on the board. We've got the thing up and playing blind. Worked on the power supplies. And had gotten to the point where there were some signs of life. We had it up on the scope, showing that the board appears to be running. And so today we are going to work on the monitor and see if we can finish this thing up and get it up and doing its thing. So stay tuned. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to have my brother Joe. Everybody always says, how come Joe doesn't do any work? He does all kinds of work. He does most of the work, actually. I'm Ron, by the way, if you don't know. I'm Ron, he's Joe. He does most of the work. I'm slower than him. He's a lot quicker. But I'm the one that films it, so he never films anything. So I'm going to have him film a little bit of the work he does, and we'll have him work on this monitor a little bit and roll through it. He does a lot of like the cosmetics and stuff like that. He usually works first shift. I work second shift. So the reason that I film more than he does is because I've in the evenings here, there's usually not as many customers, so it's easier to film. He's here during the day, and people are bugging him to death all day long. It's nonstop, people. We love it. So stay tuned. I'll throw it over to him, and he can start working on this monitor a little bit, and then I'll come back, and we'll see what's next.
All right. So Ronnie got the board working, and the power supply going. But the monitor needs some work. It's mostly working, but it's obviously collapsed on that one side. That's usually some bad solder or maybe a capacitor on the deflection board. So I'm going to attempt to fix that next. I'm going to take it out and replace a bunch of those capacitors and reflow everything, and that should fix it. Alright, so I got that out of there. It's not really that big of a deal. It's just 2¼ inch screws. 4 connectors. So I'm going to reflow all these connectors. I'm going to change some of the capacitors. It's really not that many. Shouldn't take too long. Alright, I got that done. There's only 5 caps. 4 2.2 UF 50 volt. 147 160 volt. And that's right, I say UF. I'm not going to say microfarad. I say UF. You can call it the hokey pokey, I don't care, but I say UF. Get over it. So I'm going to put all that back in. And then I'm going to take out that cage there and do the same thing. I'm going to reflow the connector there, and I'm going to see the caps in there and change those. Alright, so I changed 4 more caps. This one here was looking pretty rough. Probably can't really tell on camera, but it's pretty swollen. So I'm going to put it back in and see if that fixed anything. Yeah. Seen it 100 times. Looks like it's working to me. So now that we got it working, I'm going to go around and clean up these control panels. I'm going to take this plexiglass off because somebody added that later, but I'm glad they did because it protected the paint underneath. So I'm just going to take those off. I've got some new buttons I'm going to put in it. Going to start cleaning up the cabinet. I'm going to take a wire brush to all that and repaint it. I've got a new underlay for it too. I think I'm just going to scrape all this art off the back of this glass. Then I'm going to put that underlay underneath it, and I think it'll look good. So I'll be back when I get a little further along. Alright, So I got the control panels cleaned up a little bit. See the old buttons? I may go back and touch up some of that black later, but that's good enough for now. New buttons really help it. So next I'm going to take off this glass. I'm going to scrape off all that paint. Then I've got this underlay over here I'm going to put underneath the glass. You get those at arcadeshop.com. They're not too expensive. I think they're about $50, and I think it's really going to help it. So that's next. Alright, this is where I'm at now. Getting there. So next I'm going to start cleaning up the cabinet. See where I can get.
Well, I've got to say, Joe has about got the thing up and running. And it's looking pretty good. But there's just one small little issue with the board that we're going to mess with. The sound is messed up. So let's start it, and you can see what I'm talking about. So first of all, there's no thrust. How there's no thrust sound? And the explosions don't sound right. That doesn't really sound right. And it's kind of quiet. This is all the way up. This is as loud as it'll get. So the thrust sound's missing. The explosion sound doesn't sound right. The whole thing's kind of tinny. It's kind of coming in and out. You can kind of play it just with two buttons, can't you? It would probably be easier if I would have went straight up and down. Whoa. I can't turn to shoot him. Okay. So, the sound's tripping. So let's see what we can do about that. So on this side of the control panel, there's a volume knob. To me, it doesn't seem to have anything to do with the volume pot. So sometimes the volume pot will be real scratchy and staticky. You know, you run into that in all kinds of vintage electronics. But it doesn't appear to have anything to do with that. No matter where you're at on that potentiometer, it does the same thing. So let's look at the schematics a little bit and see if we can track down exactly what it might be. Here are the schematics right at the end of the PCB when it's sending it out. It calls it audio 1 and audio 2. I believe, if I remember correctly, audio 1 doesn't actually go out. But I might be wrong about that. But anyway, you can see right before it goes out, it goes through this little preamp. Now, when it leaves the board, it goes to the power supply, which has audio amps on it. So we could have a problem with the audio amp on the power supply. But this preamp is known for going bad, this little LM324 chip. And you see it also runs through it over here. So my thinking is maybe one side of this is screwed up or something. Okay. We'll also have a tantalum cap here, known for going bad. But you see how they mix the sounds. It's literally, there's just a few sounds, and they just run through resistors into this little preamp, right? So you have the thump sound. We got that one. That's a dum 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 dum. We've got the saucer sound. That's the one that's more like wow, 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 something like that. And then we have the life sound. That's the one that goes ding, 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 whenever you win a free life. We have the saucer fire sound. I can't remember what that one sounds like. I think it's like you have the ship fire sound, which is the very famous right? The explosion sound is screwed up, and the ship sound is screwed up. So you heard how the sound is kind of coming in and out, coming in and out. It's getting louder and quieter, stuff like that. That could be the amps on the power supply, but I'm going to go with this LM324. This is my favorite chip to swap. That thing, I've fixed so many games with that. So I'm gonna go ahead and change this P11 on the board, and then also the tantalum. We may have a problem where the ship sound and the explosions are the ones that have kind of a lower tone. Oh, that have kind of a lower tone. So maybe this thing is just filtering out certain frequencies or something. So that's the first thing that I'm going to try. Another thing that I'm looking at is, here is what creates the explosion sound. Okay. And so this whole circuit is just for the explosion. And this is what creates the thrust sound, the ship sound. This whole circuit also does just that. So my point being, if these two were combined, since we're having problems with those two, that could be the thing. But they kind of are combined, because if you look, the thrust also uses P11, that same freaking chip. So it could be that two parts of the chip have already died, and another one's trying to die, and that's why the volume's having problems, you know. So that's kind of just where I'm thinking. So P11 it is. So there's our little LM324. Let me show you something. Cut it out pretty clean, right? Not bad, right? Right? The only reason I'm able to do that is because I've got this freaking solder sucker. Now, if you don't know about this thing, look, I'm wearing the paint off of it. Vampire Tools solder sucker. I've got this listed on my website. This company, for years, I like using a solder sucker. Now, if you've got a desoldering station, you can work this stuff even better, but I don't use those. I always like the solder sucker, but I could never find a decent one. They'd work good for a little bit, and then they'd screw up. I had like 20 of them, right? So I finally found this one because somebody said it was the best one they'd ever seen. So I started using it. I ordered one, started using it. The thing works great. It's been months, I'm telling you. A lot of times people will tell you about something that they just bought, or, oh, look, this is cool, or I heard. People, I use this every day. It works great. I ordered another one. Look at this. I ordered this sucker. Get it? I ordered this sucker just so I'd have a backup for my backup. Look, it's still in the pack because I don't need it. The original one works perfect. So what's my point? My point is, you might want one of these. If you're the type that likes a solder sucker, you might want one of these. This is the damn one to get. Don't get the little cheapos. Don't get the little $6 one. Get this one. Now, if you want one, go to our website, lionsarcade.com. There's a parts page up at the top. We got a bunch of stuff that we use all the time, like this. And then the way that I pried the chip out of the board. is with this bent screwdriver somebody gave me as a gift. Look at this thing. Made in Germany. I feel honored to have it. It's got a little bent end. Now, I know what you're thinking. A bent screwdriver would probably do the same thing. Come on, people. Come on now. You really, come on now. Come on, people. Come on, people. You really think a bent screwdriver... Look what it says. Chip lifter. You can't use a bent screwdriver. You got to use this. This is what you lift chips with. So go get those on our website. Now, if you do that, it takes you to Amazon. Because I'm not selling them. The company's selling them. I'm just giving you a link. If you go to Amazon, you used our link, it gives us a percentage of anything you buy. So if you buy like a sports car, it gives us a percentage of that too. So we appreciate that. Okay, so I'm going to swap in the new chip. I just wanted to show you that it came out pretty clean. I'm going to swap in the new chip. Now, did you understand from the schematics why I think it's this? It's because it's the final amplification, the preamp, before it goes out to the power supply, which actually amplifies it. And this same chip is used to make the thrust sound. The thrust sound's missing, and the sounds are all kind of a little, not quite right. I think it's this chip. And then the final piece of the puzzle is this thing goes bad all the time. This is a common chip to mess up in an Asteroids. So this is just an educated guess, right? So I'm going to put a socket in, put a new one in, and we'll see if that either brought back our thrust sound or made everything else clean up and gave us some of our volume back that we're missing too, because it's pretty quiet. It won't go up very loud. Okay, folks, we're going to give it a try. What do you think? What do you think? What's your thoughts? You're at a weird angle. That's the best I can do, folks. I got it turned up. Watch your ears. What about the thrust? Yeah. That's right. We fixed it with one chip. That's my favorite part. There's our high score. I mean, our 10,000 point, our extra man sound. So now we know it works. Bup, 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 bup. Ooh, they got me. Look how it waits. It waits to spawn you back on the screen until it knows that you won't immediately get clobbered by an asteroid. And sometimes it'll wait 10 seconds. They got me. Well, folks, I think that it's working pretty good. So we're going to adjust the size of the screen a little bit, and then I'll show you what it looks like when we're all done. How's that sound? See you shortly. Okay, folks, so she cleaned right up. What a cool game. You can even hear that vector chatter. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed the video. Give us a thumbs up for taking the trouble to film it for you. Make sure to leave your comments below, and make sure to check out my brother Donnie. It's our brother channel. I'm over there with him sometimes working on old buildings. If you like watching us work on these old arcade games, you may like watching us work on old buildings. We bought a couple buildings in a small town near here that we are fixing up to help revitalize their downtown area. So go check that out. But we'll see you on the next video. I hope you enjoyed it.